What makes you think that Ohioans are ready to reverse the stand they took a few years ago?
Because I think more and more people are understanding that it is wrong to deny people the right to marry the person that they love, and that right to marry should be available to each of us in Ohio, regardless of whether we're marrying somebody of the opposite sex or the same sex. And we believe that the freedom to marry and the freedom for churches to decide whether or not to perform such marriages are both very compatible, and that is what this amendment is talking about. Both the freedom to marry and the freedom of religion.
The polls have shown that over the last several years there has been a gradual shift in public opinion. Why not wait a few more years until it's very clear that people have changed their minds?
I think that the polls are moving constantly, and more. Recently, the Wall Street Journal poll had some very good news about how much public opinion has shifted. I think over the course of 2012, you're going to see in numerous other states issues on the ballot relating to the freedom to marry. And here in Ohio, we'll be circulating the petitions and gathering signatures to eventually put it on the ballot in Ohio. And all of that is going to be part of a campaign to let people know how important it is that each of us as citizens has the right to marry the person that they love.
Can you talk about the people that have signed the petition so far? Who are they? Of what age groups? What demographics? That sort of thing.
There are close to 2,400 signatures on these petitions. They come from over 60 counties. They come from counties all over Ohio, including some very rural areas. They include people who are young, people who are old, people who are from the LGBT community, and their parents and families and brothers and sisters and friends and neighbors. It is a remarkably diverse group of people.
What's the next step for you guys?
Well, the next step is for this office, for the Attorney General's office, to take 10 days to review the petitions and determine whether the summary and the petition, the summary fairly states what's on the petition.
Well, there was a previous petition that was rejected, correct?
It was rejected because the summary was too long.
Okay. So this one is shorter, I take it.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank
if
you.
the Attorney General and the ballot board sign off on this, are you going to be using paid circulators to get signatures?
This is incredible that we have so many volunteers that have gotten engaged in this campaign. And the effort so far has been entirely a volunteer-driven event, and I think that's what we'll keep going on that basis, and we'll see.
Do you expect to get on the ballot this year?
I think it would be a push to get on the ballot for this year, but I think 2013 would be a great year.
Mary Jo, what is your role in this now? Are you executive director of this effort? What is your title and role in what's going on here?
Well, I'm very proud to be working with this great group of volunteers and this great committee to help lead this effort.
Whenever some groups try to put an issue on the ballot, there is suspicion by their political enemies. This is, and they say, oh, this is not just an effort to get that issue on the ballot, it's also an effort to get that side, whether they be liberal or conservative, get their vote out to help candidates of their party and so forth out. What do you say to people who suspect that?
You know, I think this issue cuts across party lines, frankly. And if you take a look at the story in the New York Times this past weekend, you will see a number of Republicans that have signed on because they believe that the freedom to marry for all of us is the right thing. And you see in the arguments in California with the freedom to marry issue, you saw a great partnership between a major Republican and a major Democrat. I don't think this is a party line issue. I think this is an issue where people respect each other and learn that freedom to marry and freedom of religion both belong together in the Ohio Constitution.
Several states do allow same-sex marriage, but few of them have gotten there because the voters have called for it. Most of them have gotten there because legislators have passed it.
That's why it's going to be such a great campaign here to really show that the people of Ohio are leading the nation, and the voters of Ohio are going to say that it is time that everyone has the right to marry the person that he loves or that she loves, whether they're the same sex or the opposite sex, and that everyone should enjoy the freedom to marry the person that they love. And I think it's a message that Ohioans will understand, and Ohio will lead the nation in this regard.
Could you explain the religious part of this issue? I'm not quite clear on what that part means. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Well, you know, the petition recognizes, the petition that would be put before the voters would call for a vote to say that everyone, regardless of sexual orientation, would have the freedom to marry, but also that churches would have the freedom to not perform or recognize a marriage. That would be their freedom of religion. But, you know, marriage comes with a great deal of legal issues, tax consequences, visitation, child support, child visitation, divorce, Social Security, veterans benefits. You know, there are quite a few legal parts of marriage, too, that we also must recognize and make sure that we are not denying it to the loving same-sex families of our state.
So this would, in other words, what this would make sure is people can get married in a civil ceremony, whatever, but it doesn't, you're undercutting any opposition from religious groups who would say, don't force us to have a religious ceremony on this. That's basically.
Nobody's interested in forcing a church to do anything. If a church wants to be affirming, we of course welcome that, but no church would be required to do so. But we think that where there is love, that there should be marriage.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.